What do you got? I could say it again. Well, this was going, so.
Oh yeah, perfect. So No Time to Die. No Time to
No
Die.
Time to
James.
Die was visual effects that are very realistic in this one. Sometimes like on Sky, when I worked on Skyfall, I found like some of the
He worked on Skyfall. I mean,
Skyfall and
you guys.
Spectre were the two ones I did get to work on, and it was really hard, especially Skyfall, because there was literally these like a plane crashing and going down, sliding down as it crashes, and Bond is on the plane and he's not getting hurt, and the propellers are going crazy, and it's just stuff that would never happen in real life, but in a Bond movie it does. Where I really feel like No Time to Die, for most part, was very realistically done. So you're very believable when you're watching it. There's a whole end sequence with many missiles and things that maybe get a little bit kind of like, okay, we're back in the classic Bond, anything could happen. But for the most part, I was taken, it felt very raw and real. The chase scenes, the action scenes, they were really well done. And the visual effects have a lot to do with that because it's flawless. They make it look flawless.
Now, is it harder to do an action film, like with all the special effects? Is there more work for the sound team to do than a normal movie?
It's hard to say. I think that someone who does this discipline would probably say yes and no, because when it's an action film, you could go crazy with effects and things happen so much, the cuts happen so much quicker. So it's a lot more work, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's harder. Like if you have a movie that's a lot slower, it might be harder to pull off special effects because you're really the person viewing it is really baking in the basking in the atmosphere of the movie. So it's hard to say. Like Dune was like that. Dune had these moments of where you're just still with everything, and everything had to be so flawless because it can't fool you. And there was a realism in Dune I thought that was really done well, where let's say Spider-Man, it was just the most outrageous creativity, outlandish, superhero type creativity, that it's like, well, if metal tentacles are coming out grabbing you everywhere, it's just a spectacle of many different things. So it's hard to say what would be harder. I'm
So,
just guessing, because I don't do that type of work, but
oh, okay.
that's what I'm guessing, is that sometimes the movies have more longer shots, probably might be more difficult because you got to really make it believable. It's
Oh,
not like a fast edit.
yeah. I really want to say how do you say Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten
Yeah,
Rings?
it was really well done.
Is
Yeah.
that it's like very
Yeah,
fantasy?
the
Just
superhero and the choreography of the fighting was like amazing martial arts, and just really, kind of the perseverance of character and all of that is ingrained in it. But the visual effects were really well done.
it looks like it's well-rounded films. There's like a little bit of everything for everyone this year too.
It's amazing in 2022, maybe the last 10 years, visual effects are so well done. And I've never worked on movies where the visual effects were really, really bad, because I'm kind of more newer in this. But one of the first films I worked on was the remake of War of the Worlds, the Spielberg version. And that was like my first time really dealing with visual effects coming in at the last minute that you have to make sounds for. And it was amazing because, there's teams hired in other countries just to render, because computers were a lot slower then as they are now. And as computers get faster, more powerful, you still have to render things, but it's like these render farms and these people making these effects have to let all these machines make the picture happen. So, like a movie like War of the Worlds, or I'm sure a Free Guy or Spider-Man, the amount of that's why the credits go down, and it's just like thousands of names, and a lot of times there'll be people from India or people from other countries that worked doing this farming of special effects.
Yeah, it's amazing that these movies get made because it's like so many people, so many parts
Yeah,
to make a film. You're like, how did they get made?
it's incredible.
But I think it's a little bit easier once you work with people, because people were like, oh, I want to work with them again.
Mm-hmm.
But it is tough for new people. We're all trying
It's
to break
tough for new
in.
people, and
Yeah.
the film, coming from the sound world in Hollywood, I'm noticing even our world is shifting and changing, and we're getting influenced by shows in Europe where there's maybe two or three people that do all the sound for a movie, and with streaming coming into play, things have changed. There's less quality in the foley on some shows, or there might be no budget for ADR or group recording anymore. So it's like really interesting how things are shifting and changing. And that being said, there's amazing shows like Belfast. They have a lot of group that you could hear it, and it's really evident. It's really interesting. But things are shifting, and I really feel that this is one of the best mediums because you have so many different categories. So it's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Should we jump to another
Yeah,
category?
let's do writers, and, I think we
Writing.
writing, the best writer.
Adapted screenplay.
Yeah, so, well, should we do original, or do you
Let's
wanna
do original screenplay.
yeah, let's do original, like, new
Yes.
stories. So well, because like, adapted, we gotta just put it out
We'll
there.
do it. Let's
Dune.
well, let's jam through both categories so everybody gets to, if they're interested, they can listen.
Yeah,
Let's
so
see. We got our
this is
original screenplay.
this is nominees for writing an original screenplay, so, Belfast, nominee Belfast,
Kenneth Branagh. Yep.
and Don't Look Up,
Yep. That's Adam McKay. Story by Adam McKay and David Sirota.
King Richard,
By Zach Bylin.
Licorice Pizza,
Paul Thomas Emerson was a PTA.
the worst person in the world.
Written by Eskil Vogt and Joaquin Trier. So Swedish,
Oh.
I believe.
Yeah, so because original screenplay, let me just tell you, being a writer and a kid's writer, to come up with stories, people were like, they think that you could just do it like magic. It's just to come up with a great screenplay, a great script or TV thing. I mean, really, if you don't have a good script, you have nothing else.
Yeah.
So it's all starts with the writing.
Yeah.
Like you really have to have the story because my kids' podcast, if I didn't have stories, like I needed the stories that are good because I am only one person doing all the voices, and I'm not a I just do it, but the stories are so important, and I want to
Yes.
say thank you everyone for listening to Film Addicts and for loving the stories because it means so much to someone
Yes.
that writes the stories. So I think that's one of the most important pieces. And then of course you have to have the director and the actors and the other people to bring it to life and to bring it to the magic of the screen.
Yeah, let's shout out to all the writers out there. I mean,
Yeah, it's because
this
it's
is where it begins, right?
yeah, you gotta
Yes.
have something which otherwise you just do sequels, 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 sequels,
Yeah.
sequels.
And we don't want that.
And then, sequels are great. We love our Batmans and our Marvels and our,
Yes.
we like sequels because I write sequels too.
They're
Like
fun.
I've got my stories have part one, part two, and part three. So they got sequels and they just kind of like some of the stories they just want to be a sequel, and some stories are just like a one-off, like they just want like to be a one-off. But so yeah, so Belfast, Kenneth Branagh, he's almost nominated in every single category as well, like Dune is.
I just love the fact that actors are starting to write more movies and produce and direct more. It's just amazing. And I love that. I love when I see that because I love the cross pollination. Like I have a dear friend that works at Warner Brothers who's a sound guy, and he's amazing. And he wrote his first screenplay, and it's now going to be made into a feature.
Oh
And I'm
wow.
so happy for him. I can't really share
Yeah,
anything yet,
secret.
but it's going to be a major director, major whole thing. And
Oh wow.
he's the guy that should be doing this because he's so brilliant that sound restricts him. He's a sound guy, no doubt, but he's got so much more to offer. So I'm really happy for him. But I just love seeing that. I love seeing when, um,
Someone gives a chance to someone that hasn't been produced on the big screen, because a lot of times like people like that listen to the shows like, how do you get in, how do you get in, and like I
yeah,
share the stories how
it's
people made it,
incredible.
but sometimes they're a little tough on you if you've never had something produced. But how do you get in if you don't have that chance, and if you weren't born into the business, or you didn't get the chance to work for somebody that could like discover you? So
Hmm.
I think podcasts are helping people to get discovered. So
Yeah.
and there's a lot of mediums that are helping people, like there's a lot of TikTok people that are suddenly get to act because they're on there and they're popular. So and maybe they didn't live in Los Angeles. So there's I tell people, like, try all social medias because maybe one platform will help you get discovered and you can show your audience, and
Absolutely.
thank you
I
to
think
our
you're right.
audience listening. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm honored to talk to everybody, and I hope what I offer can shed a little bit of light of what I do, and actually I hope it's entertaining. I hope it's fun enough, and I think everybody could find their way if they're interested in this type of medium, and especially for those folks that live in Atlanta and Los Angeles and big cities. You really could lock into something and get into this business. It's not that difficult if your heart is in the right place and you work hard enough at it.
Yeah, and we have people that are, listen in countries all around the world
Oh,
here,
it's the
like
best.
India. We have Ukraine listening. We're
Oh
hit
my
number 1 in
gosh.
Ukraine, everyone.
Oh,
So, I mean, and we have, like, a lot of different countries that love this channel because they said that they learned so much and they're excited about the guests. So I hope, and then also it's important, like, if you wanna be an indie filmmaker, like, how important the sound is. And to have
absolutely.
sound and, like, get those ADRs or those loopings, and, like, they invent things here. Charlie showed me these things where they invent things to help them make sounds. Like you said, like the piano, broken piano pedal can make a great sound. So you'll never know what could make a great sound from an empty plastic bottle or, you know, um, a broken pedal from a piano. So yeah. So Belfast is original script, just amazing, and the kid in it is incredible. What we learned his name, Jonah Hill, right? Jonah Hill? And
On which what
I
was it?
think the little boy, yeah, in the film.
Oh, the
Mm,
little boy. Yeah, we mentioned him earlier.
yeah,
It's
and then Don't Look Up by, like, the meteorite.
oh my goodness. I mean, did you see Don't Look Up? Did you see
I
that?
didn't get a
Yeah.
chance yet, but I got my
It's
screeners waiting to go.
it's yeah, it's I think it's one of the most original out of
Screenplay.
all of these. I mean, they're all wonderful, but Don't Look Up really hit home, I think, for the whole world. It's kind of like anybody could watch this and relate to it. Um, but it's it's interesting. It's just a really it's got humor, it's got heart, it's got frustration, it's got annoying, and like it's got so many different, like, it's
Layers.
almost like the layers, like going through COVID and going through people fighting each other, and kind of the fracture of our country, of the people fighting each other, different outlooks on things. It kind of comes through in subtle ways and Don't Look Up, and I think it's pretty amazing, and it makes fun of media, and it makes fun of the billionaires, their space race. It's really great, but
'Cause they see they're
yeah.
behind, they're, like, behind, they have security, they're behind gated mansions, they have lots of space, they don't have to go through, like, if you go to the airport, you gotta be in that long line, you gotta have everything scanned, you're sitting next to people,
Mhm.
and if you're also living in a place on top of people, you got people, you can hear the people, walking their footsteps, all night long, and you can hear their music, you can smell their cooking. We're just crammed, and then, like, you can hear all the people, like, if you live in West Hollywood, you hear, like, people in the alley and stuff, like, you
Yeah,
hear people fighting.
it's
So
like New York City, or you're in your environment. Like, uh, what's interesting is I work near where Marilyn lives, so, and that's how we met each other by happenstance. But it is West Hollywood is a place where the sounds really are part of your community, and a lot happens, and it's a really wonderful city, and but there's a lot going on, so I totally could relate.
yeah, when you're doing a podcast, you're like, "Oh, did someone just, like, their car alarm is going off," and then there was, like, a girl and a guy fighting in the alley, and they were screaming, and you're just like, "Oh," and then the fire alarm in the airplane. So yeah, there's lots of challenges when you're in the city. So yeah, but,
What
the
else we got? We should move on, huh?
yeah, King Richard,
King
yeah,
Richard. Oh gosh, I mean,
the Venus and
it's
Serena
so
tennis
beautiful
story
to see. I
about
mean, who doesn't love Serena and Venus, right? They're just
amazing, incredible talent, like, amazing.
beautiful, beautiful women,
And rags to
strength and
riches story.
talents, and yes, and and it really makes you love the father. And you think about writing original screenplays about a family struggling to succeed at something. It's been done a lot, I guess, right?
Yeah.
This was done in such a way where you're just taken from the get-go, and you're just loving it throughout the whole thing. So that must have been part of the writing, right, to make it work so well. And just the struggle. you feel it, and I'm sure the way that was written helped the director make that happen.
Great job, Zach Byland.
Yeah.
And then licorice pizza, come on. I mean, we
Oh.
didn't have frogs in this P.T. Anderson story,
No
right?
frogs.
But we had,
Which story about Magnolia, right? That's what you're referring to.
yeah.
My friend Eric Potter did all this sound recordings for that, and he was able to have one of the bullfrog mock-ups from that movie. And we were in a band together. We played music, and he would take the frog and put it all over the place, and we would be like, "Look at that frog!" Because it was so realistic.
Oh,
So he's
wow.
probably still has the frog, one of the frogs from Magnolia.
Oh, wow.
Frog
Wait, what's your,
props.
yeah, and what's the name of your band that you,
We had a band that was called Quarks, which was
Chris?
a weird punk band, but we evolved to like modern rock, and we were kind of like a punk band at first, then we were kind of like a Talking Heads type thing,
Oh,
and
fabulous.
original songwriting and rock, and it was so much fun. And actually, the drummer of the band is Ron Bartlett, who mixed Dune, who is up for award. The bass player was Eric Potter, who's my recordist friend. The lead singer was a guy who was a sound editor, and now is doing stuff at Disney, and he's successful at what he does. So they're the people that got me into this world of sound for film, because I was
Oh,
just a musician before that, pawning my
oh.
instruments.
Well, oh, but you play guitar too?
Yes, play guitar.
And then did you sing too, or are you just was
No,
you just musical?
pretty lousy singer, but I was good enough to do backups.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so and then the worst person in the world. Who is the worst person in the world?
This movie didn't really grab me, but it was really well done. Um, I think it's an important story, and it was cleverly written. I have to say, I didn't resonate with it, but it was good. It was really good. The acting was fantastic. Beautiful actor. This was a foreign film. I believe it was Sweden.
But something
Really
different, like from a
something
different
different.
country sometimes is a
Love
little.
story, a woman that's finding herself through relationships in the city, and it's beautiful. Europe is beautiful, and it's really interesting, and
And we have no women in this list. So you guys, well,
yeah.
maybe you guys will like one of my stories then. You can always listen to
Here you
Enchanting book
go, yeah.
readings written by a woman. One woman, one woman. So, but no, there's no women in there. So, but
Yeah,
so green light some of us women
yeah, let's do
writers.
it.
Come on, green light. You say you're helping women. Let's see it.
Well, you know what?
We're waiting.
I think if
Knock
we
knock.
move up to writing adapted screenplay,
Okay,
we'll get
let's
to some
see.
women.
Okay, let's see. Let's
Let's
see.
do it.
Woo. Okay, so and the nominees for writing adapted screenplay is Coda,
Sian Heder,
Drive My Car,
Ryusuke Hamaguchi, and Takamasa Oi.
okay, and Dune,
John Sveitz and Denny Villeneuve, and Eric Roth,
The Lost Daughter,
Maggie Gyllenhaal,
ooh, and The Power of the Dog.
Jane Campion.
So we got 2 females there, but what I say females too, new people that don't have credits because they said
Yeah,
they're gonna open the doors to new
yeah,
people.
yeah.
So come on
But
down.
I have to say, it's like Maggie did such a good
She
job in
did a good
Lost Daughter. I
job.
mean,
Come on, Maggie, you did
that's
great.
incredible.
I
So
know, she's an actor, she's famous,
yeah,
but sometimes, they're in there before you get in there. So it's
yeah.
like, but how about not think like, what is my plan? The 27-year plan? The door's got to be open here. But The Lost Daughter, beautiful story, and then the actor is one of your favorites, right?
Lost
The
Daughter. I love Olivia Colman. I mean,
Olivia.
yeah, you know, everybody has their favorites. She's in film, and I'm there. I'm committed to watching her.
And,
She just,
she came from like Olivia came from you said like the
yeah, I don't know all of her repertoire, but the films I did see her in, uh, I'm blown away. Everything. She's just so good at what
is
she
she
does.
English?
Yeah, British.
She's British.
She's British, but she's another one of those
Well
actors.
trained,
She could do any
well
accent. She
trained.
could do whatever she
Yeah,
wants.
she can be a voiceover for one of my characters.
She would be good for that.
Just like a producer in me, right? I mean, and The Power of the Dog
Power of the
by
Dog.
Jane Champion, who's
I
she
think that movie really rubbed people. It got some of the best critics raving about it, and then it got people just despising it. So I find that really exciting. Like, they say, like, uh, good good promotion is, it doesn't need to be hated. It's like it could be hated or loved. It's good because you don't want it just to be bland where you forget about it. So I think Power of the Dog is one of those movies where the people that don't like it give it just as much grandiose as the people that love it, because you know they're being moved by it,
Yeah.
either negative or positive.
Yeah,
So
because getting more people to talk about the Power of the Dog, but, because there's no, like, you know so that's where giving love to The Lost Daughter, Dune, Drive My
mhm.
Car, and Coda, because
And I didn't read any of these books. I know Eric read Dune, but I would love to know what these original stories are like,
yeah,
because they're
so
always adapted, they always change.
that just tells you how busy we are when you work 15. People don't realize some podcasts, like, just the processing, because when I write a story, like, you gotta write the story, you gotta write the characters, you gotta do the music, you gotta do the sound, you gotta process it. Sometimes it can take 15-hour days, so it's a lot. When you're writing takes a lot of work, a lot of work, and a lot of work to come up with original idea. But, and the podcast has taught me to write faster, so writing
Mm,
is exceptional writers, like, congratulations, because all of you that are on there, you all deserve a hand, because writing is very difficult, very,
mhm,
very difficult.
mhm.
And to put it in that proper screenplay format is another skill in itself, because you can write a book and there's doesn't have to be any format. You could just, like, the book with that just had, like, like, one word on each page. There's no format for a book. It can be anything. There's no rules, which that's why I love books. There's no format. You could just be, like, creative, and there's no rules. It's the
Look at
Wild West.
just look at Harry Potter franchise, or like these huge franchises that became from the book. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing. It's
Yeah.
like
I have Wizard series, but mine are, like, shorter. They're more Goosebumps styles, like
uh-huh.
like,
Those are fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
Margaret Merlin's journey. I have 6 of them, 4 of them are done, but Harry Potter's are, like, 600 pages,
I know,
they're
they're big books.
big,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I mean, at around 150, I'm like, "Well, I've already wrapped it up, book 1, it's going to book 2," but,
But that's good. I mean, everybody has different pacing. So your
mhm.
pacing might be faster, but it will get a different audience. It'll get different, people that don't want to seep down into, the style of writing doesn't matter really. It's
But I remember her books, the first one that I read, it just is so fast,
oh,
like, you
it's
didn't realize that
incredible.
you
Yeah,
read 500 pages in one
exactly.
sitting,
It's so
but
true.
just the amount of work that she had to do to sit there at that computer, because writing, your bum hurts
Yeah,
and
and
your
I think
fingers hurts.
she did most of it in a cafe too, if I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken.
yeah, because
So how about that?
yeah.
All the people you see at Starbucks working away, they might be making something truly amazing. You just don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
You should
yeah.
never judge, right?
Yeah.
You know.
I'm not a writer that can write out in, like, a Starbucks or a coffee
Yeah,
shop. That's not
I can't
me.
either.
I have to
Yeah.
write with all the noise around me.
Yeah.
From the construction, there's
There
a
you go.
never-ending construction outside my house. The leisure that some people have to have, like, 10, 5 acres around their house, like, where you can just hear birds chirping. Oh, it's
So
beautiful.
yeah, Lost Daughter amazing, Dune amazing, Drive My Car, Coda. They're all, worthy. They're all incredible. Uh I don't
Do we have
know
any music for the writers? Did we give any music? Any
writers.
sound effects? Like,
Yeah,
did we
let's do that.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
see
give
what
them
we
some
got
sound
for
effects,
it.
because they are that's the heart of every movie that's being screened. Somebody loved the story and picked it to produce it into a film.
This is a fun sound.
Writing, I recognized it. Writing on a piece of paper. That's me.
That's
Yeah.
it. Now, this is something for the audience here. So that's pen on paper. But what about pencil on paper, which I love much more? Let's see if I can find pencil on paper. Writing on paper within Sharpie. Well, that's interesting. How about pencil? Oh, so much better. Let's turn it up.
Yep.
You could hear the carbon scraping on the paper.
Yep.
And that's the type of thing, sometimes you start realizing the nuances. Like Sharpie on paper is very different from pencil on paper. And that's what us sound geeks obsess over.
I really I love it. I love it. When I'm
uh,
writing, I'll just, like, sometimes, like, I'm transcribing, like, the audio stories now into pilot scripts because I've
Mhm.
been being asked to have them ready, and so that's what I'm working on, and, like, sometimes you're like, "Oh, yeah, just a pen and a marker," because like, you're like, it's so much writing, and my hand is still I don't
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys know, like,
For sure,
my hand is still injured. My right hand, my writing hand, so it hurts.
yeah.
So what do we
I
got to
think we're on to music now.
Oh, music, original score, music. So nominees are Don't Look Up,
Nicholas Britell,
Dune,
Mr. Hans Zimmer himself,
oh my gosh, Encanto,
Jermaine Franco,
Parallel Mothers.
Alberto Iglesias. That's the composer I was mentioning earlier. I butchered his first name, but Alberto Iglesias is just a master. I just have to point out.
And then The Power of the Dog.
Mr. Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead.
Oh, Radiohead, really?
He's a guitar player from Radiohead who's earned a right at being one of the best composers in Hollywood now.
Wow, from Radiohead, congratulations. So
Yeah.
so we have a lot of, like, Dune, The Power of the Dog, like, they're gonna sweep it. I feel like The Power of the Dog and Dune are gonna be sweepers, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think yeah, I think you're right. I think music original score, I think Johnny Greenwood will win this, but it's hard to say. I think Alberto Iglesias is
Is
worthy
that
of an
Julio
award.
Iglesias son? No, it has nothing to do with,
Not at
okay,
all. I don't even believe they're related at
related, no.
all. Encanto was great. Dune, Hans Zimmer was very daring using sound effects, and that was very unique. And then Don't Look Up, Nicholas Britell, which was another great
Yeah, do we have any
ensemble.
music for this? Any sound effects for the music score?
Gosh, you know
Do we have
what?
anything? What
The
about once you
best
play
thing.
something for us?
Well, here you go. How about
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
Um,
In a band, Shirley Campagna, yeah. Who's
let's
in a
see. Here we
band?
go. How about this? Maybe if I could find it. One of my favorite sounds.
It's like we're entering into
Orchestra
the
tuning up.
yeah,
It's one of
like
the
we're
best sounds ever.
yeah, it sounds like they're at the Oscars listening to the podcast pre, like, this is gonna be new. They're gonna, like, ask us Spotify's gonna ask me and Charlie to come next year, and they're going, "Marilyn, you gotta watch them before you can go on
Yeah,
there."
yeah. And you know what? I'm gonna just say disclaimer now. I'm a sound geek, so all these other categories, I hope I pardon my simpleton nature of not knowing names and it's just coming from my side of it. I know my sound department, but it's hard to know everybody, especially the actors' names. But
Yeah, and then just going over movies because after all, movies are like a personal choice. Everyone likes a movie. It's
people are
like,
busy too.
yeah,
Like most of the people I know that are busy creating, doing things their own. It's hard to see all these movies. I'm obligated. I took the oath to watch all these so I could properly vote. And when I don't watch them all, I actually abstain from voting because I don't think it's fair. So as an Academy member, I think you need to have that type of discipline to make the time to watch all these. Make sure you're watching them in good environment, and then if you don't watch them all, you really shouldn't vote.
he's a
It's
good.
not.
This is good peeps,
Yeah, you
good
just don't
people.
want to.
He's rare, rare. So
So,
yeah,
anyways, yeah, they're all great original scores. My favorite is Johnny Greenwood for The Power of the Dog, and then Parallel Mothers for Alberto Iglesias are my favorite two movies of the year. But I don't know who's going to win. I really don't
yeah.
know.
Well, they're
I
all
think Power
winners.
of the Dog will win, but you just don't know. It's a mixed bag. Who knows who voted for what? Um,
But there's no everyone's a winner because like they're already like in their profession, they are doing what they love, and everyone else is just trying to get their first break to get in there. So all these people, they've been winners. They've already been successful for years. They're in the academy. They get to make movie after movie after movie,
yeah.
and they're always working. And there's people trying to get in there for their first film, their first
Yes.
story, their first sound, their
Yeah.
first acting, their first writing, their first special effects, first costume.
Well,
So
yeah, we know. Like, I mean, you watch the foreign films of the year, and you start realizing there's so much talent beyond what the Academy could cover.
yeah.
But at least this kind of gets things in a ballpark to have a type of award ceremony. But thank goodness for the Academy, thank goodness for the BAFTA, and thank goodness for CAS and the other type of amps, like the other type of category styled awards